So, welcome, and this is Adrian from SE Workwear Academia, which is the t-shirt printing design course, our online course. I did a video recently on the new version of CorelDraw 2020, which was for PC, but I've been getting loads of requests for people to have a look at the Mac version. Okay, so I'm a big fan of CorelDraw. I use it for my business and I use it for my online training course, which is SE Workwear Academia. So you can check that out. If you check out seworkwearacademia.com or click on the link below, you can have a look, see what we're all about. And that's basically from starting up your own t-shirt printing business right the way through to designing, teaching you how to sell the products online, face-to-face, using our dropship test pack system, and right through to buying machinery and getting started on your own. And if you don't want to buy any machinery, you can use our business to ship your products out. So let's jump straight in and have a look at CorelDraw 2020 for Mac. So here we go, down the left-hand side. If you've used CorelDraw before, you'll see the toolbar down the side. And these are all the normal sort of things with a little fly out in the corner there. It's got a little arrow, which means you can just click down on that and it will give you a little fly out, like this particular one here, where you've got shape tools, smears. These are sort of vector formatting tools, which is good. We'll show you a few things in that in a little while. Crop, knife, zoom. You've got some drawing tools here, Bezier tools, which is one of my favorite tools, where we can make shapes and so forth. Click, drag, use your handles, pull out handles, etc. It's one of the most valuable tools for when designing, and I use this all the time in my t-shirt printing business, and my guys do, my team do. You've got your shape tools down underneath here with your rectangle, your ellipse. You got let's just jump onto this one here and click on the star, jump across, and then you can click and drag and hold that out, and that'll give you your star. Up at the top here, let me continue, sorry, then you got your text tool, which is pretty standard, where you can click on text, drop down, click, and this will give you the ability to type straight away like that. SE Workwear Academia, and then we can go down a little bit further. You've got some sort of tools like shadows, contours, transparency tools, and color tools. This across here is your property box, and you can add and bring in and out different boxes as you want from here. Certain things like you've got mirror tools there, so if you were t-shirt printing and you're using a transfer print, you would select this and you'd flip that to print on a transfer. For cutting or for vinyl transfer, for print, for laser printing, etc, etc. So, but you know, we go over that in the course. I'll flip that back for a moment. Here, if you wanted to change the amount of points on here, once you select the object, you can see that your property bars change. You've got things in here like changing size. Here's an aspect ratio lock. So if I click that and said I wanted to increase this by 100 to 120%, it would increase the height to width ratio, the aspect ratio exactly the same. So it keeps it proportional. If that was unlocked and I wanted to just change one direction to 80%, it would still keep the base figure underneath, which is the height at 120%, and the width now is at 80%. And you see that the aspect ratio has changed, so it's squashed it in a horizontal position. Now, if you wanted to increase the amount of points, you can do that just by increasing here, just on the little up and down, and you can see there we can add more and more points. And again, by adding or decreasing the value next to it, changes the distance between the point and the inner point. So we can change that just by blah blah blah, moving that. Okay, so it gives you a little bit of an idea of just some of the features on CorelDraw 2020. They're pretty standard. So what are the differences? Well, over this side, they started to introduce this later on in some of the later versions, 2018, 19, where you've got the flyouts on the side. So rather than using at the top here, so let's say if you were editing the text, we would highlight this, and we would have a drop-down box, and we could select different fonts, like so. Now, interestingly, what we would get then is you get the options like whether this was going to be bold. At the minute, that's bold there is grayed out, and italic is grayed out. Underline, you can underline it, but if you click on italic, you see it doesn't actually make any difference. So over this side, you notice that actually when you are on the text, let me remove the comments one. Let's go up to this one here, the properties. I can click on this flyout, you see, this docking panel on the side, and it gives me more options than just on the standard property bar across the top. So this flyout is really useful, and every time you add a new object in, it's sort of a little bit super intelligent, and it will give you options like here. You can fill, line color fill, so I could say, oh, I want to fill this one here with a solid color of black, change the color with your contour, your color palette there. You can do gradients as well, which is quite nice. So if I wanted to jump from one color to another, so I could click on that little color there, and I could say, right, I want this one to be red, go from red to white. Actually, no, I don't want to go from red to white. I want to change it here. So I click on this point, and I could change that from red to dark red, say. And I can also add additional points in if I wanted in the center there. I wanted it to go to something crazy like yellow or something. Let's just put that in just to show you what you can do. And then again, you've got the transparency of that, so how solid that color is. Sorry, I just didn't mean to do that. I'm going to delete that. So how solid that color is. If you were overlaying it over the top of something else, let me just increase the transparency value up there. You can see that actually that changes. And the base text underneath comes through. So there's lots and lots of features there, and we can look at more and more of these throughout my course, on my online course at seworkwearacademia.com, or just keep an eye out on the YouTube channel where we're releasing different bits and pieces on there. So some of the new features that CorelDraw 2020 has is the typography, which is all about the fonts, and this has got now the introduction of new variable font system. So first off, if you were going to use this feature, and I'll explain what it does in a minute, you would have to go to one of the links for which I can give you, which is, I'll give you a link in a minute, but basically there's free variable font websites. I think one of them is v-fonts.com, but I'll put a link in below and then you can see. Just go on there, download one of the free ones. There's plenty of paid ones on there if you like them, but there's plenty of free ones to have a little play around with. So let's just say we've selected this font, and I wanted to make this particular font a variable font. So you got true type fonts, open type fonts. Let's go to here. Let's go. So I'm clicked on the drop down menu. It's brought up this Docker panel here, and it shows you that now a filter on the side. Now, if you go down, you can select open type fonts, true type fonts, and you can select now variable fonts. And I've got a few variable fonts installed. So with a standard true type font or an open type font, what you would get there is if that font had multiple different options, like it was italic or bolderized or condensed, then it would give you the options and you'd have to select them individually. But with a variable font, what it actually does, it gives you the option to manipulate the font within its own constraints. So if I select this particular font, I could then come across to the variable font option, which is over this side, over here. If it's not a variable font, this will be grayed out and you won't get the drop down. This one actually only has two options. One is width and one is weight. So if I decrease the width, you see it squashes it up. If I decrease the weight, you see it makes the text thinner. I can't tell you how useful this is, especially for printing and screen printing. Sometimes when your customer will give you, or actually even a cutting vinyl, will give you a font and he's adamant that he wants that particular font and it's so fine, it's really hard to weed or print, and it's just not going to come out very well on a t-shirt, then this feature of just being able to thicken it up without using tools like a contour tool over here where you actually have to add a slight contour around it. Honestly, I can't tell you how useful it is. So brilliant. That's one of the features there, and that is the new typography. And just go over to the link that I provided below, and you can see lots and lots of different fonts in there that you can download and play around with, and just see what features. I mean, some of them they've got absolutely tons and tons of different features. On my PC, on the other video for for PC, CorelDraw 2020, I've got some really cool fonts installed on there, and you can see that just some of them have just so many different variations where you can stretch the bottom of like a Y, or on upper and lowercase text, or the H's where you've got the lowercase h and you've got the high point, it will actually stretch them up, or even move the dots away from the letters, so that's very cool. Something else that these guys have brought into CorelDraw 2020. Now, if you use a PC, you'll notice it's import, but in a Mac, traditionally, they call import into vector-based software place. You'll see that on Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator, etc. So we're going to go to place, and we'll find an image. And I've got something on the desktop here, so let's have a quick look. Load that. This is cool. I was playing around with this earlier. So they've really enhanced the trace feature. It's got a brand new AI, absolutely brilliant. I was going to show you actually, just before I move on, anything that you bring in anytime, if you ever get stuck, just at the top here there's a hints panel, and it's got this sort of intelligence feature, and if I was to put a circle in, you see it changes all the hints there and tells you exactly how to do things. I meant to mention that actually, I did mention that in my PC version. Right, okay, so I've brought this in. Now traditionally, so this is a JPEG, and I want to convert this and edit this into some sort of vector. So what we would do normally is just hit the quick trace button, and that's going to go off. It's going to do its work. Here we go, and it's sorting that out for us now. And there you go. So not a bad job. We're missing some of the bits. You'd have to draw some of the bits in using your freehand tool or Bezier tool. We've got issues here with the centers of the E missing, detailing of the face, etc. in the glasses. And okay, so that's a bit of a problem. Now, what we can do normally with CorelDraw is we can increase how much detail we go into by selecting lower or high quality image. And this one here is quite interesting because it actually gives you some of an estimated time for doing this work. Now, normally you would only have the front two tabs available to you, which are settings and colors, where you can restrict the amount of colors that it's looking for. And if you're having some trouble trying to get a decent trace out of something to save you some time drawing, then you could look at this and say, well, actually I've only got 4 colors, and you could change that to a 4-color palette on here, rather than this one at the minute. It's an RGB 256 color, so it's going to give you lots and lots of different colors. There you see, whack in 5, and it's really going to help. You can see the preview here straight away. It's really going to help with this trace. Now you can see here we've got some issues still going on, but now with CorelDraw 2020 you've got an adjustment tab, adjustments. So you can go over here and you can remove JPEG artifacts, and that is actually like when you increase the size of a JPEG, you'll see the pixelation around the edge or through the whole image, and where it's trying to compensate and make up and extract it grow the image. And what that does, it adds massive issues in for when you're tracing. Okay, so in this particular one, what we're going to do is I'm going to say remove those JPEG artifacts and click on the photorealistic properties. Okay, it's going to take about 10 seconds, but we're going to give that a go. And this Mac is pretty quick, so it should, it's doing some heavy work on this, so it should be pretty good. Let's see what it comes up with. Okay, so we've still got a few issues there. But you can see this is way better, and by going back in there and tweaking that, we will get this. We will definitely get this out. I would probably suggest putting the color palette up a little bit actually, just to help with that. But you can see, very cool. Now what we can do with this particular, let me just have a quick, let's just move that out of the way. Let's delete that. Yeah, bring that over here. So we can ungroup all of the properties of this, and if you want now, we can go in and start changing the color of things and adding bits in. If you want to, let's just say wanted to take that out, we could drop that out altogether, and we could add in our own text underneath. So I'll just go to the text tool, click on that, handsome boy. Let's put that in there, and you see what I mean. Drop down menu, or we could go from the side menu over there. like so. If I wanted to add that color in to match that there, that's quite straightforward. So I'm just going to click on that, go up to my objects panel, bring that across, add the text tool. So what we've got here, uniform fill color of that. I'm going to use my pipette tool from here, and that's handy. And you can see we can color match that to that. If I wanted to add an outline around the outside, then I could just go across to the left hand side and click on contour and drag myself a contour around the outside of that, and we could that contour color is up here, and I could give that the yellow or something like that. So to do that, I would click on there, click on the palette, pipette tool, color match, click on that, job done. So you can see we can do some quite cool sort of features. Okay, let's delete that. Final new feature that is available is, let's just jump up and we'll place another object. Let's bring that in. I'm going to go back and I want to bring the cool dude back in again. So let's drop over to my desktop, bring him in and place him. Now what we've got here, let me show you another way actually of importing that so that it restrains within this box as you bring it across. So let's go File, let's go Place, and we're going to pick up the dude again, and I've got him now. So what I want to do is I'm going to click and drag and put a box down, and then I'm going to say there, I want it to be that big, let go, and it's going to put the handsome cool boy straight in there now. Okay, so because this is JPEG, we've got some really nice new special effects, some really super cool AI, which is coming through in this 2020 version. I'm pretty sure they've built some super engine in this. So as you can see, we've got the FX panel, the properties panel open, and I'm going to click on this FX tab if it's not already selected. And here, this plus button, I'm going to click on there, and it's going to give us some very cool tools. Okay, so let's jump across and go charcoal. So I'm going to add that in, and I'm going to play around a little bit with it and just press OK. And that's going to do some rendering in a second. And there we go. So we've got our charcoal. So it looks like, you know, that's been done in a charcoal sort of image. I mean, we could actually remove this background in there by jumping over to Paint. Paint is built into this system as well, so we can launch Paint and remove the background and save this as like a PNG, and then bring it back in and just change the actual image. But I quite like that. Now you can layer up as many different features, effects as you want. Let's try. Wow, what could we try? I don't know. Etching. I don't know if that's really going to show up well on that one. What else have we got here? Just effects. Interesting. Let's try emboss. Let's give that a go. Let's just hit OK. This is one of those things where you're just going to be playing around and see what goes on. And what you can do is you can turn different like layers of effects on and off. So I could turn that one off if I want. So I could unview that, and then I could say, oh no, I want to view that. So looks a little bit similar actually. That's handy, isn't it? Oh no, I'm on the wrong one. What am I doing? There you go. So yeah. So I've just got I've got the charcoal turned off, and I've got emboss on. Let's turn that one off as well, so we don't need to see that and that. Right, let's turn them off. Let's try something else. Creative fabric. That sounds cool. Let's give that one a go. Oh, nice. And quilt. So it's like a patchwork quilt or needlepoint. Oh, this is excellent. I'm loving it. Look at that. How cool is that? So you can see, obviously, I've not had loads of time to experiment with it, but I'm sure you guys are going to love that. Finally, something that's an invaluable tool for this is the introduction. I won't show you on here, but for collaboration. So if you run a company like I do, I've got 20 guys work for me in my printing department, doing print and embroidery for t-shirts and uniforms, and this new software has got a collaboration system. So basically what you can do is you can have one person that's the main editor for this artwork. You can send that off to your client. They can check it over. They can download an app, and they can make comments on certain points. Say, you know, I want these glasses in red. And that comes back into the main document because this operates now on this Coral Cloud system. And I'll go back into that a little bit more detail later on in some other videos, because obviously we're starting to get quite complicated there. But as a collaboration system where we're working on maybe flyers for merchandising, for marketing materials, etc., which I know one of the guys is at the moment. We're producing our own catalogue, and that's handy because he can send that to me. I can make notes on it, say, Sam, I need you to change these pictures X, Y, and Z, and put these prices in. Then that's also going to give us some ability. He'll get the notification, he can make those adjustments and send them back to me to approve them before we go to print. So another brilliant feature. So thanks very much for watching this. If you want to find out more about the t-shirt printing industry, the books I've wrote, and the courses that I carry out, and even one-to-one lessons at our training centre in Oxford, please subscribe and download my free ebook.